Hello again. This time we speak specifically about opposition. We will start presenting opposition. So, what is opposition? Opposition is a state of kings facing each other one square away on the same line. It can be vertical opposition, as in this case. It can be diagonal opposition or horizontal opposition. And again, diagonal opposition. Now, if the kings are one square away, we call that close opposition. If they are separated by 3 squares, we call it distance opposition, as well if they are separated by 5 squares. We call it again distant opposition. We also present the next terminology. To get opposition, it means to achieve the state of kings with your opponent to move. That means to get your opponent in Zugzwang. To fall in opposition is the reverse of that. It means you fall into Zugzwang and you are the one who has to move. Our first opposition example is going to teach us that sometimes having opposition or taking opposition isn't enough to win. White is in advantage and black has to play very careful in order to make a draw. So we begin with a wrong move. If black would decide to place his king on a7, white wins very easy, pushing a5. Now, black has only one option, because if he's giving up his pawn with 2 pawns, white will easily win, so he has to take. Casing which white captures the black pawn and he gains opposition. He takes opposition. And we will end up in the famous pawn and king versus king, with the sides on advantage having the pawn on horizontal 4, and black has to move away, giving up control of the key squares. That was if black was to move, and obviously black is to move now as well, but that was if black decides to go a7. Now we will see if black decides to move on c7, it's a different case scenario, because now white pushing the pawn won't give him victory, because the advantage pawn is on the side file, and that won't help white win the position. It will end up in a draw. We go again, we push c5, black takes, white gains opposition, and black will simply go in front of the pawn, because white cannot flank on this side. He will not manage to push the black king away. Always endgames with the side file pawn for the advantage side. Once the disadvantage side gets in front of the king or the pawn, it's a draw. There is no way you can push him away. You can even step here and he will go between those 2 squares until he gets a stalemate or repeats the position 3 times. Going back again, let's say black plays c7, and this time white won't push the c pawn, he will push the a pawn. Once he takes, we will have to take the pawn, and black gets close enough to the pawn that he will no longer be pushed away, so white can capture the key squares. Remember, key squares are, in this case, b6, c6, and d6. Also, black can take opposition, doesn't mean that much anyway. And one more way to do it, black will play c7, white will try to flank with the king, but then black takes opposition, and he will keep control of the opposition squares, corresponding squares, and obtain a draw. If white goes a7, it will be a mistake for black to go for the pawn, because that will give white the option of moving his king and capture the black pawn. Let's say we take, white will take, and now there's no way to prevent a pawn from converting. So in this case, if he goes a7, the correct move is keeping the opposition square. Yeah, goes a8, we still keep opposition. Doesn't matter what white tries, we will keep opposition and make a draw. So in this particular setup, even if white will get the opposition, doesn't necessarily bring him victory. Yeah? As long as black manages to keep control of the corresponding squares, he is safe. Again, it will be a mistake to move king on a7. Such a small difference. It might look like mirror fields, squares, but because we have the side of the board on this side, the correct move for black will be c7, and he will make a draw.